Well, we have a stormy week ahead across a good part of the United States. Got a lot of severe weather going on over the next several days from the plains through the Midwest and Ohio and Tennessee valleys in the deep South. And why not a May nor'easter for the mid and late week period? We'll be talking about that. We'll set you up for the whole week ahead. And we will take a peek at the Memorial Day holiday weekend. That is all front and center tonight, where right here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, where we're here Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. But if you'd like to support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast and keep the live version commercial free, well, all you got to do is do your Amazon shopping via our referral link that's pinned to the top of the chat board. It's also on the descriptor to this podcast. So all you do is use the link, search for your stuff, you buy it. Amazon throws us back a little bit of point for sending you there, and none of it, zero, nula, nada, is coming out of your pocket. So it's an easy, simple way to show your support for the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. So, how was your weekend, Mr. Rayo?
Oh, no big deal. Nothing really of any significance that has been happening. Yes, we had to change the battery in my wife's car.
Ah. See, now I had a battery issue a couple of weeks ago. I just took it to AutoZone and they did it for me.
Well, we didn't do it. I mean, we also had it replaced. Somebody did it for us.
You mean Tilly the toilet?
Interestingly though, all the lights, all the so-called idiot lights on the dashboard suddenly came on.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, the car still felt like it was running very well. In fact, I could not notice any kind of, difference in the performance, but we did check up, on the internet, and one of the signs or signals that your battery may be near its end is when all the lights come on.
All right, that's exactly what I should have told you about this. I didn't mention it to you because you know how you and I have been connected at the hip for so long.
We're lockstep, yeah.
Yeah, it was about 10 days ago. The exact same thing happened. I left the house. I went out of the house, loaded the dog into the truck, and I turned the key, and all the idiot lights came on, but the truck wouldn't start. I did manage to get it started, so I got to the dog park. Well, I think we did talk about this. I got to the dog park, and then my plan was to leave the truck running and let the dog out just enough time to do what he had to do, and then take it over to AutoZone to be checked. So reflexively, I shut the truck off, and then when I went to start it, it wouldn't start again. But all the idiot lights came on. So one of my friends had one of those portable jumpers, so he jumped me, and then I drove it over to AutoZone and went in there, bought a new battery. My old Bobby Livingston on the chat board is asking me how long did my battery last. I have a 2019 Frontier. That's the original battery. It lasted 6 years. 6 years.
This battery was 7.5 years old.
Yeah, that's
7.5 years old. And the thing that made it interesting was the guy who changed it out. He tested it and said, all you need to do, if you really, you could just, give it a jump or, charge it up a bit. But we said, 7.5 years, we're, playing with fire, so to speak.
Yeah.
The first real cold day next winter, the last thing I want is just put the key in and whoa.
Well, yeah, for me, it was 3 days after I got back from my Florida trip. And I drove through stretches in Florida and Georgia where there's nothing for like 70 miles.
Wow.
I mean, literally nothing. You're in woods. Something happens to you on those roads. Good luck, and you don't have a phone with you. Good luck. But yeah, and the funny thing is, when I was driving down, I had it in the back of my mind, something was going to go wrong. I kept looking at the dashboard I was driving to see if I don't even want to talk about this because then it's going to happen now.
Now, would you like to just tell everybody on the chat board and I see a few people say, I haven't changed my battery in 5 years or 7 years. Would you like to tell them what the cost of a car battery is nowadays.
Oh, mine was $208,
Right.
and it had a with a 2-year warranty. I wanted one with the 3-year warranty, but they didn't. AutoZone only had the 2-year warranty batteries for my truck, so I just took that.
I
Uh,
remember the first car that I ever had to change a battery. It was the battery was like $85 or $90. Then it went up to like 110, 120.
yeah,
$200, folks. $200 plus for for a car battery. So,
yeah. No, it ain't cheap. Well, no, Joe, nothing's cheap. Everything's gone up. I mean,
yep.
I've been landscaping my yard, and the plants are just so darn expensive. From what used to be able to get a whole tray for like $10, now you can't. A whole tray costs you about 25, 30. So anyway, um,
Well,
first
anyway, we
first
had
world
ourselves. It was a great.
first world
It was a nice
problems.
week. It was a nice weekend here.
Hmm.
As you notice, I got my hair cut. Well, actually, I got them all cut. And
Nice.
about 11 o'clock yesterday morning, when I was getting it cut, all of a sudden, look out the window, and it was pouring rain, and it poured rain for about 2.5 minutes, and after that, it let up, and that was it. And so far, I mean, look, I think we had a spritz, like 3 drops this
Yeah.
afternoon. But for the most part, it turned out to be a very nice weekend. And tomorrow, at least from what I could see, tomorrow looks like a gorgeous day. Except tomorrow, the one thing that's still going to be rolling along will be the winds. Joe, we had my son called me earlier today and said, "What the hell is happening with the winds?" He said, "Yeah, there was a wind last night around 8:30." He said it felt like for about 3 seconds it was like a hurricane out there.
Mm.
And I said, "Well, that was the cold front that came through."
Yeah.
And
You got upper low. You got a surface low in the Gulf of Maine, and now that we looking ahead to this coming week, and it's been a long, long time since we've seen a nor'easter. And this might qualify, I think, as such for Wednesday and into Thursday.
right, oh yeah, we might be looking at at the very least 1 to maybe 2 or more inches of rain out of this next system coming in. And yeah, it not only is it going to be a wet weather pattern, it is going to be unusually chilly. I mean, now we're getting up to near 70 for an afternoon high on average, and we may only have temperatures on Wednesday and Thursday in the 50s.
Yeah.
In the
Well,
50s.
I
So
kind of think it's possible even on Wednesday. It's going to be one of those days where it's probably going to, when the day starts Wednesday, it'll probably be in the mid to upper 50s, might even be close to 60. Then once it starts raining and the northeast wind kicks in, it'll probably drop down to the low 50s. I wouldn't be shocked to see some temperatures even get below 50.
and Chuck Cardillo pointing out to us that it's been raining where he is most of the afternoon with a cold 47 right now. But of course, Chuck is located, what, about 3,200 feet up?
Yes.
So you can
Well,
expect that if you're that high up in the atmosphere.
I had a beautiful weekend. I got more landscaping done. 6 beds down, 2 to go. So that's made me happy. The main beds are done. There's one tomorrow that I got to do. All I need to do is throw the mulch down on. It doesn't need any plants. It's just going to get mulch on. There's a second bed that needs some work, and I'm ignoring a third bed for now because that's going to need a lot of work, and I don't. I just want to get the bulk of it done, and then I'll take care of the side bed at some point uh, next week or the week after. So anyway, gorgeous day here. A lot of severe weather going on in the plains today. That's going to be gradually shifting eastward, all part of the process. But at least the next couple of days for you, the weather still looks pretty decent.
Yeah, I'm either tomorrow or Tuesday, probably tomorrow. Take advantage of a nice warm day, dry day. Get on out there and take care of the lawn again in advance of all of the wet weather that's coming in later on in the week.
Welcome to everybody tonight on the chat board. Welcome to those of you lurking in the background here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show. podcast. There's good company. There's some of these weather service offices. They're huddled in corners watching the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast on Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. We're probably going to have one schedule change this week on Wednesday, correct?
Yes. Well, we may or we may not, because I heard from I'm giving a talk, a virtual talk, and it's supposed to be at 8 o'clock on Wednesday, but the president of the club told me, well, the meeting starts at 8, and usually they do a lot of club business for the first 15 or 20 minutes, and so we probably will not get to you until 8:20. Well, if that be the case, then maybe there's no need to make any changes in the schedule, because we should be done. Usually we're done by 8:20. So maybe we'll
All
still
right.
do the 7:35 bit, but we'll
Well,
see.
if we change it, we'll let you know in the next day or two. Certainly before Wednesday, we'll let you know. Subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss us. Turn your notifications on. And of course, if you like the show, hit the like button. Charlie Baker, that's a very kind thing to say. My landscaping looks like the enchanted forest. I actually have some pictures. I'll show them a little bit later of some of the work I have done so far. But meanwhile, we're going to check out a kind of busy watches and warnings map tonight, particularly in the plain states. All of that lovely yellow that you see, those are tornado watches that are up from southwest Nebraska. Maggie P on the chat board talking about some wild weather going on where she is in Colorado. You've got winter weather advisories in the mountains, and you've got to the east, the northeastern part of Colorado. You've got tornado watches up, but tornado watches into western Kansas, a severe thunderstorm watch in central and parts of east Kansas. The tornado watch goes down through much of central Oklahoma and into north central Texas. We also have a severe thunderstorm watch up for a bunch of counties in northern Arkansas. Meanwhile, we've got freeze warnings in various places in the upper Midwest, in northeast Minnesota and northern Wisconsin. We have winter weather advisories, as I said, in parts of Colorado, also up and down the state of Utah. Wait, I got to make sure that's the right color. Hold on. My eyes are not what they used to be. No, I stand corrected. That's for freezes. Let me make sure that what I'm seeing in Colorado. Also, I'm sorry, I take it back. It's not winter weather advisories. They're freeze warnings that are up. I got a friend of mine that's up in Yellowstone National Park right now, and yesterday he said it was snowing up there where he was. So cold in the west, but not necessarily warm in the east because we kind of have troughs all over the place. There's energy dropping in the west that's triggering the severe weather, and we've got strong troughs that are going to be dropping into the eastern part of the United States before too long. And here's the circulation in the Gulf of Maine at the surface. You can kind of see the rotation off the coast of Maine, and of course you've got an upper low that goes with it, which is why you see a lot of clouds, particularly in upstate New York and up into Vermont and New Hampshire. Cirrus is blowing off from these big thunderstorms that you're seeing in parts of Kansas and into Arkansas, and also some storms popping up in parts of Texas. A big one just fired up there in north central Texas. And you see the thunderstorms that are going on also in parts of northeastern Colorado and up in Wyoming. But there are some areas where the weather is nice across Illinois and Indiana into Ohio, except for those high clouds moving through much of the middle and South Atlantic states doing okay. Florida's doing okay. Southwest is quiet for the most part. And as we check out the radar tonight, you can see the stuff, Joe, in New England is still backing southwestward with showers up in parts of Vermont, northern New York, over in central New York. And I can see where the showers are where Chuck Cardillo is, because it's raining in Binghamton, and they extend down into the Catskills. This is one of those setups. This is one of those upper air and surface setups that if you were in January, you'd be windy and cold with snow showers.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's always the last few years. I know a lot of the people, winter weather lovers on the chat board, have been saying when we get to this time of the year, why couldn't this happen in January and February? Well, certainly this year we had our fair share of cold weather. We just didn't have the storm to align with the cold weather to bring all of you the white stuff. Maybe next year, but didn't quite work out. But at least we did have some cold weather in January and February to deal with.
Yes, and we had the snow down here in the south. many hundreds of percent above normal in some places. The radars to the west are exceptionally busy. We've got a ton of severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings that are in play right now as of 7:51 p.m. Eastern time. Or excuse me. And you see them there in Arkansas, a bunch up in north central Kansas. The red boxes are all tornado warnings. You got one in Oklahoma. You got some in West Kansas. You've got some even in northeastern Colorado and northwest Nebraska. So the severe weather playing according to plan with what the Storm Prediction Center is doing, and I'm going to get to that in a second. But I just want to show you, we've got a fair amount of precip in parts of Montana into North and South Dakota, Wyoming, Idaho. Gets a little more scattered as you get into Washington State, but nothing as you go south into Nevada and California and across Arizona and into New Mexico. Moderate risk for severe weather tonight in southwest Kansas. That's inside a pretty big area of enhanced risk. I noticed this morning they were talking on the discussion about giant hail. They didn't exactly define what giant meant, but I assumed that they meant hail greater than 2 inches in diameter. Haven't seen anything on the storm trend today. Let me see if I can. Oh, usually they got a little link that you
Maybe
can.
maybe giant refers to. They don't do this anymore, do they? Remember when they used to refer to hail as teacup-sized hail?
Teacup size?
Yeah,
I don't ever remember them saying teacup size.
really? I don't know. For whatever reason, I remember teacup-sized hail.
Well, so far today, 15 tornadoes, 59 reports of wind, and 100 reports of hail. But we'll probably if they wind up with hail the size of baseballs or softballs, you will certainly see some video on it, no doubt. Now, here's what it looks like with respect to the risk. The tornado risk is 15% in that moderate risk zone. Hatched area means that there's EF2 to EF5 potential, and the hail risk is 45%, corresponding to that 15% tornado risk, and 30% that goes up into Nebraska and goes down into north central Texas. Now, the slight risk extends into Missouri and northwest Arkansas. We also have a slight risk across southern Alabama and southern Georgia. Now, for tomorrow, this is part of the system that's going to be bringing, the nor'easter conditions we mentioned earlier. That's moving eastward. Tomorrow, the Storm Prediction Center has got a big area of enhanced risk, the eastern half of Kansas, much of Missouri, about half of Arkansas, if you draw it on a diagonal from northeast to southwest, nosing down into north central Texas, including Dallas, Fort Worth. Also, a slight risk in North Georgia over me. I don't have to rain water. I can use rain instead. And parts of southeastern Tennessee, western North Carolina, and northwestern South Carolina. Now, on day three being Tuesday into Wednesday, and lately the Storm Prediction Center's website pages are taking forever to load. We have another day of enhanced risk, this time in northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, and central and western Tennessee. The slight risk pushing up to Indiana and Illinois, the marginal risk east into North Carolina. Notice no thunderstorm risk at all, the northeast and northern mid-Atlantic states through Wednesday morning. And there's at this time on the long range, they don't have anything with the they have predictability too low for day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, day 8, which means that there's probably going to be some severe weather, but we're not very confident as to where, nor are we confident yet as far as the magnitude of such severe weather.
Okay, now while you were speaking, I went online and I actually found this is at a National Weather Service site. Which is this now? Which particular? Oh, Burlington, Vermont. On the Burlington, Vermont National Weather Service forecast office site estimating winds and hail size in thunderstorms, and they actually have a chart here for hail diameter. So here we go. A
Okay.
quarter of an inch of hail, the size description for 1/4 of an inch is pea-sized. 1/2 inch hail, mothball size. 3/4 of an inch, penny size. 7/8 of an inch. I mean, my God, I mean, how close to 1 inch do you want to go without, saying it's an inch? But 7/8 of an inch, they have nickel size. 1 inch, and in red, they now say severe criteria, quarter size. 1 1/4 inch hail, $half size. 1 1/2 inches, walnut or ping pong ball size.
Okay.
1 3/4 inch hail, golf ball size. 2 inch hail, hen egg size. 2.5 inch hail is tennis ball size. 2 3/4 inch baseball size. Joe, here it is. 3 inch hail diameter, teacup size. I
Yeah,
knew I
but
heard that
who
somewhere.
drinks out of a teacup?
Uh, Joe, I'm only
I mean,
reporting.
that's from a different generation. It's like I don't know that anybody has teacups.
Well, you
Most
might be
people just
right
have
because
mugs.
in the wind criteria, they mention wind speed estimate 55 to 72 mile per hour, damage to chimneys and TV antennas. When was the last time you saw a house with a TV antenna on top? Right?
Yeah, I
So
mean,
you're right. This is
really,
kind of dated. Now, 4 inch size hail is designated as grapefruit size, and 4.5 inches softball size. That's as high up as the
all right. So
size
I guess
description
maybe when they
tells.
were talking about giant size hail, they're probably talking about um, softball. What was the one before softball?
Grapefruit.
Grapefruit. Notice that they didn't call it Cara Cara orange size hail, which I think Latex Dreams on the chat board was eating a Cara Cara orange, waiting for the start of tonight's show. I actually have a couple in the fridge that I have to eat before they go bad. Okay, the WPC folks, as far as rain is concerned, they're going for 1.5 to 2 inches for the northern half of New Jersey to Long Island and western Connecticut. So that's all going to be with the system for Wednesday and Thursday. And also 1.5 to 2.5 inches in central and western Pennsylvania down into western West Virginia. Some of that's probably convective with the way this thing is setting up. And meanwhile, rains of 4, 5, 6 inches, 7 inches across northern Arkansas through parts of Missouri. A little bit less, but certainly in the range of 2.5 to 3.5 in the upper Mississippi Valley and on up through the Dakotas. Tails off a little bit to 1.5 inches plus and back in Montana. Some 3/4 of an inch to 1.5 inches in parts of the Pacific Northwest, which isn't exactly breaking news. And in the coastal Gulf, along the Gulf Coast and in Florida, we're talking minimal precipitation, 1/4 of an inch or less, or in some cases, no precipitation over the next 7 days. So I got the upper air up, and I'll give you the North America view so we can see what's going on. You got a blocking high over Iceland. You have a low that is sitting out in the Atlantic between the Azores and the southern tip of Greenland. You've got the upper low that's right now in the Gulf of Maine. And then, of course, you've got these deep troughs in the west. So you get all this energy from the Pacific dropping down into the western part of the United States. But the block in between Greenland and Iceland, the blocking high, is keeping troughing and a chillier flow of air into the eastern part of the United States. And in fact, if we look at the temperature anomalies going forward, starting with not so much tomorrow, but you start to get into Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, particularly Thursday because of the system in the ocean. You're looking at a big swath of below normal temperatures, both in the northwestern part of the U.S. and the northeastern part of the U.S. And actually, some of that below normal stuff penetrates into parts of the deep south. And then we get into Thursday, and you see it's fairly extensive here. And then it pushes even further into the deep south. We're looking at some places in Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, New York State, with temperature anomalies of 10 to 15 degrees or more below average. And when we go through the Memorial Day holiday weekend, it just stays that way in terms of being below normal. This is Monday afternoon, where everybody from Maine to Georgia, west to New Mexico, and north up into the northern plains, below normal temperatures, above normal in the west of the Rockies and in the interior part of the western United States and into western Canada. But again, the blocky nature of the atmosphere is going to keep things cool. So, if you're looking for hot weather, get on a plane and go out west because and parts of the west because you're not going to see it anywhere in the east for at least the next 7 days. I'm going to carry it on. I'm into May 29th. It's still below normal. It finally gets to be a little bit above normal on hour 294, Joe, which is May 30th and then May 31st.
Okay. All right. Well, I think, as I said last week, it looks like we're going to have ourselves, as you just pointed out, Joe, a few moments ago, 2 decent days and then 2 indecent weather
Yes.
days for Wednesday and Thursday. And then, because of the way the upper air is oriented, we're looking for improvement over the upcoming holiday weekend, but the improvement is going to be rather slow, won't it?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Rather slow indeed. And in fact, just going back to the upper air flow on the 500 millibar map, you've got a low cutting off in the Dakotas. You still have a cutoff low over Nova Scotia. And the block is still there, and everything undercuts the block. The blocking high forces that western trough to slide underneath it, and you see there's a short wave that forms part of that upper low that's in the Dakotas stretches eastward, and then you get this nice looking trough here for Thursday, Wednesday into Thursday, upper low over Lake Superior, dumbbells around. You got energy on the eastern side of that cuts off the New Jersey coast and then goes into the Gulf of Maine. And then you got to wait for the whole trough to pull out. And then once that happens, there's another arm that comes around for Sunday into Monday. I mean, this is just a locked in pattern. Now the block does disappear over the weekend, and but you still got troughing in the east here next week, and the pattern tries to normalize. But then look at this. So this is at the end of the forecast period. Now we're into June 2nd, another deep trough up and from a line from Hudson Bay down, right along, say, 85, 86, 85-ish west from Hudson Bay all the way down to the Gulf states.
Oh, okay. All right.
This
Well,
is
we're
not,
just going to have to,
this ain't a
excuse me?
summer, this ain't an early summer pattern at all, at all.
No, absolutely not. Although the pattern, we're according to CPC Climate Prediction Center, we're either going to be looking at below normal temperatures or only near normal by the time we get into early next month, early June. So if you're looking for heat, it may be on the way, but it looks like it's going to be a long time before it finally gets here. May not be until maybe mid or late June. Who knows?
Yeah, I know. This is like I'm looking at this and thinking, where was this in January? Where was this in February? I mean, it was there. The only problem was, for snow lovers that everything was so far south. But anyway, uh, vigorous 99 lows in the 990s this time of year are rather vigorous. And you can see the result where the European tonight's got all that severe weather. You see those little blotches of red in Kansas and Oklahoma and Texas. And then tomorrow, more fires up as a low reforms in Oklahoma. And it keeps trying to move northeast toward the lakes, but up in Canada, in eastern Canada, this is all high pressure here. That's nosing down from Labrador, and as a result, it's hitting that blocking upper high, and it can't go northeast as far as it would like to. So instead, it starts to shift all the energy eastward. You can see the severe weather for Monday is substantial. from Iowa down through Missouri and Arkansas and Texas, and then it moves further east into Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee on Tuesday. The surface low, gets into Ohio. It can't go north, so it's got to reform, which it does, and it does, off the Virginia Delaware coast. You got a low there off of southern New Jersey Thursday afternoon. You can see the rain that lifts up during the day Wednesday and Wednesday night. Gradient gets pretty tight for Long Island, for southeastern New England. Going to get quite windy for east of New York City. I don't know about, central New Jersey on southward, but uh, definitely nor'easter conditions for Long Island, southern and southeastern New England with this. And then the problem is that you've got the upper feature just kind of sitting there. So the atmosphere aloft is going to be cold, unstable. So Friday, probably maybe some self-destruct sunshine with a few scattered showers. You got to put them in chance maybe for Saturday, uh, Sunday. I think it's going to be a cool Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I think most of the time for most people, it's going to be dry. You got to throw in that there's a chance that there's going to be shower risk. Uh, I mean, it's not going to be terrible. It's certainly not going to be a washout, but is it going to be picture perfect? No. Is it going to be, beach weather? I don't think so.
I said for Getaway Friday, clouds, showers diminishing. Not the fact that we're not going to see any shower, but whatever we have Wednesday and Thursday, we'll still probably have showers to deal with on Getaway Friday, but they're only going to be petering out or petering down. 60. That's my high for Friday in the lower Hudson Valley. Then Saturday, I didn't quite know how to word this, so I finally said variable cloudiness. There may be some breaks of sun. There'll probably be a lot of clouds. Still the risk for a few showers. Breezy. I think the winds will pick up again a little bit, Joe, on Saturday. 64. And then for next Sunday, I'm being optimistic. Sunny to partly cloudy, 68. And who knows, by Memorial Day Monday, a week from tomorrow, it just might get back into the 70s. And hopefully we'll have some good sunshine to deal with. So slowly but surely, the holiday weekend will be an improving one. But again, underscore that word slowly. It's going to be a while. And no, I don't think that there's much beach weather to be look forward to at all, at least for Friday and Saturday. Maybe Sunday, if you like temperatures close to 70, and maybe on Memorial Day Monday, it'll get into the 70s. But our water temperature is probably still rather chilly too, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's like upper 50s.
No, I don't think I'm going to dip my tootsies in a water that's only in
No,
the 50s. Call me up,
wise decision.
call me back in late July, early August, maybe.
I pulled the GFS up just for laughs, which of course, it's got a primary low that's for a little further south than the European, uh, near Louisville, that goes into West Virginia, and then you see a low pops up east of Delaware and then deepens. Again, the gradient gets very tight for Long Island, for southeastern New England, for southern New England, and particularly for Cape Cod. I mean, if this is right, they're gonna be blowing away there on Thursday. And then, of course, the same idea. And of course, the GFS has to put in a little bit of blue for snow in northern Maine and up in parts of New Brunswick on the Canada side, and then out it goes. But the models are very similar, and you kind of look at this. GFS has probably a little bit more of a stable atmosphere for Sunday and for Monday. But the other thing is too, Joe, on the backside, and given the time of year and the daytime heating, it's not exactly a weak pressure gradient on the backside. So it's going to be probably on the breezy side into Sunday. And maybe the winds will come up a little bit on Monday, Memorial Day, which, doesn't look too bad. But yeah, I have always said for many years of the three holidays that are considered summer weekend holidays, Memorial Day, 4th of July, and Labor Day, the one that you're most likely to have a problem with is always Memorial Day.
Yep,
Almost always Memorial Day.
almost always, unless you're going to have one of those anomalous situations where in September, and we always say that on Labor Day, there's always a hurricane lurking somewhere out in the Atlantic basin. And unless you're going to be in one of those unfortunate zones where the hurricane is going to decide to visit you, Labor Day weekend, You're right. Usually it's Memorial Day that has the unfortunate pattern of not so great weather.
Well, I thought before we do Briller Jeopardy, we could look at some of my landscaping work. So that's a statue of Mary there. So being a rosary rolling Catholic, I have to have saint statues on my property. So there's one, and I put in some yellow and red daylilies, which you kind of made out. That was part of my work today. This is the flower bed that's just outside my front door, and those are all yellow daylilies. Now, on the bottom of the picture, you see all that leafy stuff, Joe? That's a natural flower growth here that's called May apple. And they come out in April, peak in May, in early May, and then by the time we get to mid-June, they're gone. But that's this it's a spring it's a spring plant and actually quite decorative, which is why I don't like to take I didn't want to take all of the natural growth out, and some of these plants produce some really, really lovely flowers that only last for about a day or two. But I've got marigolds up here. I've got tick seed. I have some phlox. So that's that. And this is the view, from the street, sort of. Uh, there's still more woods before you get to, some more property before you get to the street. But this is what that flower bed looks like from the other vantage point. So this is what I've been doing. And there's my statue of Saint Francis, and he's got an owl. You see the owl on the lower left, and next to Saint Francis is a goose, both non-living, by the way. And I've got some impatiens here and some boxwoods, and underneath the mayapple here are hostas that are growing. So as soon as the mayapple dies, the hostas will take over. And these are the beds when you come in, and that's my long driveway. So I have impatiens, I have uh, Vinca in here, Inca Dinka bottle of Vinca type. Uh, the smaller round bed has marigolds surrounding um, uh, daylilies, yellow daylilies, and inside the middle of the yellow daylilies are irises. So there's that. And here's another view of the flower bed that's up near the top of the driveway. I think I got one more. But this is how um, it looks down, down closer to the street, and then looking up toward the uh, top of the little hill I have, which I've landscaped, and I've got hydrangeas, little baby hydrangeas in there. So,
Now, do you have deer?
yes, we have deer, we have bear, we have bobcats, we have foxes. Um,
Because I know the deer love hosta.
yeah, they left my hosta alone until like last fall when they found it and they started eating it. Right now, my hostas are protected, but I have to tell you, and I really believe this. That statue I have of Saint Francis is 4 feet tall. Okay, and my neighbor right next door, he has had a bear on his property a number of times in the last, at least 4 or 5 times in the last month. Okay, but that bear will not come on has not come onto my property, and I think because he sees the stage statue of Saint Francis and thinks it's a person. No, but I got to tell you, when I put that statue out there and JJ saw it for the first time, he was growling and barking at it. He thought it was a person until he realized that it wasn't. But I think at least from a distance, the animals see it and they kind of avoid my property. So if it works, it works, and I'm happy. I don't have to buy deer repellent. And as
Our problem now, and we've seen it especially in the last couple of days, it looks like we may have an infestation of gypsy moth caterpillars.
oh
Uh, each day now it looks like we have to go out on the side of the house with a little shovel and just like, you know,
oh
cut them up or whatever like that. And we had an infestation about I don't know about 10 years ago, and killed a couple of big, beautiful trees. One elm tree on my property or whatever like that. Those things are, they really once they're in full uh, bloom, so to speak, and they really love to invade trees and chomp them and like I said, if you have an infestation, you have a real problem. I'm hoping we don't have one this year, but we have been seeing quite a few of them in recent days, so we'll see.
Yeah, no, they're definitely not fun. They're not fun. All right, let's do a little Briller Jeopardy, shall we?
Yes.
Okay, so it's annual rainfall. Annual rainfall for the following city. So we will start with Atlanta.
Well, do we have a margin of error here? I mean, if I say one thing in terms of an amount,
Well, you know what? We you thought the same with the thunderstorms. We actually did quite well with that.
all right.
I think once you get like the first couple, you can sort of interpolate what the others would be. But let's start with Atlanta.
Okay, well, Atlanta is basically a very humid and I suppose rather wet place to deal with in terms of rainfall. Um, I remember when one time Lindsey Nelson on during a Met game said it seems like it rains in Atlanta almost every afternoon in the summertime around 3 o'clock. I will I'll say 52 inches.
That is a really good guess. That really is. It's a very good guess. And it's not that far off at all. But Rich Rothmansky already hit it, so you can give him a bell ring at 50 inches, Joe.
Really?
Yeah.
Congratulations, Rich. I'm
Okay, the
surprised
next one is
there's
Boston.
a bell here. Well, anyway, what's the next one?
Boston.
Boston. Well, it can't be too much different from New York. I will say 45.
Oh, so close. So very close. Excellent guesses. Tim, Latex Dreams, 44. 44
44.
inches. And give him a bell ring.
44. So what do you call 44, Joe? 55 is double nickels. What's a 44?
Yes. I don't know. I was trying to think that. I don't know if I had, I don't think that, I got to look that up. I'm not going to do it now, but I'll double check it.
All
Uh,
right.
Chicago,
Chicago, Chicago. Um, 37.
37.
37.
37. Good guess. It's a wrong guess, but it's a good guess. Um, a lot of you are in the upper 30s. You're a bit closer. Uh,
I see Chuck Cardillo with 39. That's a Jack Benny
Frank,
number.
yes, Frank R. Frank R. 41.
Okay.
Okay, two fours in dice. They're called it's called a hard four. There are four hard way combinations. Two twos is called a hard four. A hard six is two threes. A hard eight is two fours. So it's a hard four. Two twos, double fours.
Okay. Double deuce.
Right.
Right.
Um, let's see. Um, next, Chicago at 41 was we got. The next one is Dallas.
Oh boy, Dallas. Dallas. I mean, it's hot. It's dry. They don't often get thunderstorms even in the summertime down there. Um, I'll say 29.
29. Now, you know what? When I saw the number, it sort of surprised me because I kind of thought along your lines. But 29, I believe, I'm sorry, what was the number you gave? 29?
29.
Yeah, it's way too low. Way
Really?
too low. Northern Grace is closer at 42, but that's on the high side. Rothmansky is close with 37. Vincent, you're way up at 58. Um, let's see, 35, 39. Tim, 38 for Chuck Cardillo. Give him a bell ring, Joe. We're very
Yeah,
generous
good.
tonight with the bell rings.
Well, considering all the lousy weather he has right now,
Okay,
he
the
deserves
fifth one. This will be interesting. Fresno, California.
Fresno, California.
Fresno.
Well, they had their wet season in the winter, they had their dry season in the summer. I'll just say 10.
Oh, that is a very good guess. That is an excellent guess. And Rich Rothmansky is on the other side of that with 12. So if we do the math, what do we come up with?
11.
11. Yes. Snake
Latex
Eyes.
Dreams had 11.
That's
Tyler
right.
Fenga had 11.
Yes. Now they're all coming out with 11. And the bonus tonight, Joe, is the Valley of Death.
Oh, Death Valley?
Yes.
Good God, Death Valley. I'll say, see, I know during the winter time, they probably get a surge of moisture that can drop, quite a bit of rain. But during the spring and summer, they probably get nothing. So I'll just say Fresno was, what did we say? It was 11?
Yes.
All right, I'll say 4. Northern Grace also says 4.
Yes, but William Uber and Tyler Fienga has it, and so did Pat BLD and Chuck Cardillo. It's two mints in one,
All
two.
right, there you go, guys.
It's a certs rainfall, and there you have it. There's nothing in the tropics, by the way. Tropical storm development is not expected through Monday, or Tuesday or whatever, the next 48 hours. So they're starting to issue tropical weather outlooks that began on last Thursday, the 15th, and hurricane season will be starting on June 1st, which is only 13 days from now. So there you go, or 14 days, depending on how you want to count it. All right, so we're done. Everybody have a great night. Hope you had a great weekend, and we'll see you tomorrow night at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. Righto?
Good night, folks.